Jump for the Stars, a strengthening and conditioning program to increase vertical jump. My goal is to increase vertical jump and increase sprint time. This is because the same explosive strength and power needed for a vertical jump is used in sprints, which is useful for Nusa, a cross-country, track, and Nordic athlete, especially for track in the spring where she runs sprints. Overall, Nusa starts essentially below average or above average in most of her stats and very good in her approaching jump. However, there's lots of room for improvement, which I hope to see with my program. My workouts overall include a warm-up and a cool-down before and after each workout, and a muscle day, tendon day, and neuromuscular day. For the warm-up and cool-down, we're going to start with stationary bikes, lunges, ankle grab, and single leg hops, which focus on the different muscles needed for lower leg movement and especially our jumps. And our cool-down is really just going to focus on these muscles as well. Our muscle development concepts focus on hypertrophy, which is overloading the tissues so we tear a bit of those fibers and they can recover stronger. But we're going to focus on these phases of movement in general. Our eccentric, isometric, and concentric movements. Eccentric is the lengthening of the muscle and is where the majority of our energy is stored. If we lose a lot of energy here, our performance for our jump will suffer. This is the landing phase or preparing for the jump phase. And here, this is where athletes can become faster in their jump and better by loading their muscles with energy via eccentric loading, and they'll be far more faster and more powerful if you can release it very quickly during the concentric and isometric phase. The isometric phase is between the upward and downward movement where there's no movement happening, and we don't want to lose any energy here, so we want to train this to be strong and stable. Concentric is what people generally think about when jumping. This is the upward movement where all that energy is being released, and we're going to train this as well so we can release the energy as rapidly and efficiently as possible. My program focuses essentially on eccentric jumps and isometric as well, because those aren't generally focused on as much in programming when training. We're going to focus on pause jumps and squat with a pause at the bottom, which will help our isometric movements and a bit of our eccentric by pausing at the bottom. And our eccentric jumps, of course, focus on eccentric movement. Our box jumps, depth drop, and depth drop into a box jump focus on the three phases of movement by moving into all of them simultaneously, practicing our energy moving between them. Next, we're going to focus on our tendons, which will focus on intensive and extensive plyometrics. We're going to focus on explosive strength here, which is what intensive plyometrics train. Extensive, on the other hand, is our overall power output and endurance, which we train, and which will be especially important for distance runners, because it's going to be able to train how our ligaments and tendons move when we're running. But intensive plyometrics are what we're going to especially want to focus on. This is our low volume but high intensity movements. And this is where we force our muscles to work at a high intensity, which leads to a greater activation of muscle fibers that are responsible for these rapid movements. Training both of them in tandem is what's going to make your jump really effective, but intensive plyometrics is what's going to make your jump higher by practicing on explosive strength. My program focuses on both of these, but we're going to really focus on the quality of movement with intensive plyometrics through knowing exactly what we're doing. We're doing our broad jumps, squat jumps, skips for height, and we're going to practice our jump to make sure there's a quality movement in all of our jumps. Our extensive plyometrics are just a bunch of reps over and over again of one-leg hops, pogo jumps, and jump rope. Next, we're going to move on to the neuromuscular system, where we're going to focus on where our nerve meets our muscle. This is done at the neuromuscular junction, where a end of a motor nerve meets our muscle. And by using heavy weights, we're able to trigger the nerve to join into the movement that our muscle's doing, which is exactly what this kind of training involves. This is going to focus on muscle memory and muscle coordination, especially by doing this movement over and over again with heavy weights. It's really going to build up that muscle memory. It improves the strength and connections of our muscles and nerves, and really reduces our injury rates overall. And by almost up to 80%, some studies show, so you really want to focus on that. However, these can be a bit dangerous, so you really want to make sure you're doing the exercise perfectly well, only because they're high weight. That's why I included a description, so you make sure you're doing these to the best quality you can. There's weighted lunges, Romanian deadlifts, and squats with a barbell or dumbbell. Our program showed a lot of growth for Nusa, and on average, she increased by 7.28% for jump height, and she also decreased her sprint times for both 100 meter and 200 meter, and compared to average sprint time for females, she's still a little bit above average, but she's young and it's not track season right now, so hopefully she can get that down even more And with my program, hopefully that'll help her as well. Her jump heights went up a lot, which is great, and with only 2 weeks, she did excellently. She said that she enjoyed the program and it was pretty fun and effective, and she was likely to do it again, which I was appreciated. And improvements, all she said was to make the reps and sets slightly shorter, which I did try to improve in the program, but keep that in mind. Hopefully you'll choose my program. Thank you.